dreams within reach. It's time to rise. Body, soul, and mind, open your eyes. Climbing higher, step by step. Real talk, no regrets get set. One step, one love, we rise. Walk the talk, break free. Get to the truth, your story's the proof.
Somebody wants to be in the picture. Somebody is in the audience. Hello. You can lay down. Let's lay down, bud. Okay, let's sit. There you go. And fantastic. Good job, bud. Good job. So I'm going to read this out so that I get this on the table. It's my welcome message. So today we're blending spiritual wisdom, a little bit of astrology, because I do still love astrology. It does talk about the Bible and everything else. And I do believe that there are signs and wonders in the planets. As long as we don't use it for negative purposes, or we don't kind of like lock into the guidance of it, we maintain our free will, right? And then practical tools to help us stop waiting for miracles and to start co-creating them. We're working with some powerful influences today. So we do have some powerful influences happening today. Mercury is having a cazimi. It's asking us to break out of our old habits, to be bold. Mercury is asking us to kind of call out to the universe, call out to God for help, but also speak, communicate, enunciate, right? Begin to put sound and connection with your words. And then we've got the 2025 is a 9, which I'm a 9 as well, which I realize what that means. But so this is a year of new beginnings. This is a year that we've crested into Pluto into Aquarius for real, and we're moving into the age of Aquarius, kind of a new Kali Yuga, moving in from the red dragon to the white dragon. If any of you have ever studied medieval Christianity, I have a comparison that came to mind when I had a dream. It was the phrase "mirror, mirror on the wall," and the whole concept of the witch looking in the mirror and trying to control her beauty and being the best. And when you look in the mirror, think of it like looking at your past or what you project. There's two aspects of that: your projection and your collection, right? What have you collected? Because it's going to show in your countenance, on your face. And that mirror is going to support you in your quest, or it's going to reflect where you are and what you are, not necessarily who you are, because your situation can change your countenance. And then when you look as well, when you're looking in the mirror, you're assessing, you're assimilating your experience, your past, you're collecting data, and then you begin to project data, because you're automatically assessing and then assuming a response or an effect or an engagement or a reaction based on your reflection. Not only are you reacting and engaging, but you're also assessing and assuming how the world around you will react to that reflection as well. Now, that is an interesting concept, and I'm going to dive into that on YouTube a little bit, but think of it like as you start to move through this world, recognizing the small things, being perfecting your moment, perfecting where you are now, releasing some of those projections or expectations, freeing up resources by not necessarily trying to stranglehold how people have, how they're going to perceive you or interact with you, right? Or the importance of a particular person or event, or, not making it as important that it ends a particular way, or that you achieve a particular specific, but more of the feeling associated with it. This kind of goes back to Neville Goddard with the wish fulfilled. And then also letting the past no longer call the shots. Seeing your reflection, seeing your accumulation of, or what you've acquired, and being grateful for it, right? Like, I'm in this moment, like I've got to drop 6 pounds. I need to be more active. I need to put one foot in front of the other, get my blood pressure down, and be as responsive as possible and as thankful as possible for as long as I'm here. I want to freely allow that past space, but I don't want to keep re-experiencing it. I want, even if you experience love in the past, even with a particular person, let's say you're in a relationship and what love looked like something 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, and appreciate that, enjoy that, reflect with that, be grateful for that. Start coming to the table where you allow that love to blossom and to do different things. We get stuck, right? And then we get stuck on in a space where a memory provides us a marker for what happiness or love look like. And generally that memory isn't accurate. It's been amplified, right? And it gets more added to it over time. So we embellish, we add things. So knowing that your memories, like what that first dance was, that first kiss was, or whatever it is, knowing that you you added to it, and even subtracting from your current space by adding to the impact or what that was at that moment, not just allowing it to be a moment, right? Take the emotion from it and bring it here. Feel the emotion, but allow that emotion to grow and to experience new things. Because I think this is also too, we see this mirror, right? With the battle of aging, people struggling to maintain their youth, to be relevant, the search for immortality, the search to not age. That's a lot of pressure, and that's a lot of comparison to the past. Today is a day with Mercury Kasimi, to have a new conversation with yourself. And I've gone back to box breathing, but not because I'm trying to meditate, but because I'm trying to become simple in my moment. I'm trying to shred, shed, and simplify my process of being present down to counting 1, 2, 3, 4 in 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. So I'm using the process of repetition and number and the congruency of the action of inhale, hold, exhale, hold, to not run from anything, but to remodel the moment. And that's a reminder, if you don't realize that don't think that breathing is just about being alive, or breathing is just about finding a safe space to meditate, to accumulate more things, thoughts, feelings, ideas, futuristic things. It's also just a simple way to cut the fat, so you can let those loose ends go. Sometimes we keep loose ends because it's self-indulgent, it's self-destructive, it's subconscious protection. We'll allow loose ends and things that we need to do to kind of linger, so that we don't have room for new stuff, where we could be vulnerable, or where we could be available for failure or pain. I've done that in the past. So that's one small step to a big miracle. A big miracle doesn't need to be, like for me, a big miracle doesn't mean that my body's completely healed instantaneously. A big miracle is that I can be here right now with you guys. You don't need proof scientifically to connect to something bigger than yourself. That's what faith is. And faith isn't about waiting for a sign. You don't need a synchronicity or a song to show up on the radio or a flashing light, so that you can step out into trust and allow that faith to pave the way for you to understand the game of life, right? The game of life is very interesting. It's a very interesting space, this game of life. And I wanted to share this quote with you. Let me find it. If you bring forth what is within, what you bring forth will save you, right? So that just basically is saying that miracles already exist within you. Some people call it a placebo. Some people call it intuition. Some people call it perfect timing. Some people call it blessings. Some people call it supernatural. But what I'm saying is that faith is when your mind and your subconscious work together. They plant seeds of possibility that grow into results. And, Joseph Murphy said something like that, Dr. Joseph Murphy. I liked him too. I'm moving out of this new age mindset. I'm kind of grafting out of the esoteric because I know one thing. A hypothesis isn't going to heal my heart and my mind and my body. Dancing and a hallelujah would get closer than trying to entertain a hypothesis of whether life exists in space. You got to bring it back to something simple, right? And that's why I've got a challenge this week to take 5 minutes a day, identify what you've been waiting for, where you feel stuck, and then break it down into small steps, right? 2 or 3 small, manageable steps that you can take to get either set up for that, set yourself up for success, or get closer to that outcome. And then take the first 5 minutes every morning to remind yourself of what you're thankful for. You can rejoice a little bit in some of the memories that have been magnificent, miracles that have passed. It could be things that you've witnessed, but I would like to start out simple just by thanking God, Source, Universe, Yeshua, whatever it is, Yahweh, Allah, I don't know, whatever you want to thank. Start first by waking up and saying, thank you, God, for getting me up and out of bed. Thank you for this day. Thank you in every way for the opportunities that will cross my path today, that I can continue to pursue life, love, that I can align myself in a very effective way today. Let me be a living testimony, a witness to what is belief beyond the obvious. Let me be a tool, an instrument of faith today to give someone encouragement. Use everything around me to remind me that I'm not alone. Open doors which should be opened. Move me forward. Close the doors which should be closed. Help me to pull from the past what is necessary to be present and no more. Help me to plan a future that is open to surprise, open to opportunities, open to anything beyond what I believe I'm capable of, because I'm my greatest limiter, and I forgive myself for being that. Thank you for my friends and my family. Thank you for the breath. Thank you for the bed. Thank you for the sleep. Thank you for nourishing my body. Body, thank you for being here. Thank you for, once again, a reviving this morning. Thank you for healing throughout the day. Take that 5 minutes to plant yourself into a space that is pure potential, as present as possible, not trying to chase the now like Eckhart Tolle, because the now is not something that you can get, right? The power of now is the knowledge that everything is infinite and that you're finite, but you are on purpose. You were purposed. You are on purpose, right? You're not a mistake. You're not an accident. You're not a happy accident. You have a point. That's the way to move into the now. And then just say to yourself, faith doesn't need perfect conditions. It needs your willingness to move, to take a step, even if it's messy and imperfect. such as the earth and God, and as above, so below, and that's how miracles begin, and that's how seeds are sown. This is a huge message in a small package, and then my intuitive self, my inquisitive self, overlays that to how can I use that small little seed to grow a huge tree of knowledge in my experience. So that's a small win that becomes a large what the heck. And then I learned that one of the most important things in your life is to learn the language that your body is speaking, right? Learn your body's language. Learn you have access to a lot of different things: balance, heartbeat, breath, internal emotion. A lot of these things are telling you different things. And then focus, right? So if you feel unfocused, you can start to learn this language. We spend so much time trying to be busy, but you could take 5 minutes a day learning your own language, and that will help you a lot to be present. And that's why I said breathing, and I went back to the box breathing, but not to get somewhere, just to be somewhere, right? I wasn't using box breathing to get over the hill or to contact something or to be in a state of meditation. I was using it as a tool of survival, right? Survival is the constant nature that the earth is always in, and due to our unplugging from the planet and from the process of being present through comfort and through distraction, we've unplugged, and we've lost the connection to God. We've lost the actual ability to discern intuitively. We've lost the gift of survival, right? And so we don't even know the language of trees anymore. We don't know the language of bees. We don't know the language of birds. We've lost all these things, and our comfort has kind of cocooned us in this space. So one of the small steps is to become aware of the cocoon. It's almost like when Neo's unplugged from the pod in the Matrix. He had to learn to walk again. He had to learn to move. He was unplugged. Real life was a lot different than what it was in the surreal life, right? And the funny thing is that the supernatural lives in the real life, not the surreal life, because the supernatural is just another sideshow in the scope of distraction. Until you really understand supernatural, a miracle is this elaborate hoax or this elaborate gesture of some kind of superiority for a person that's achieved it through God. But really, when you break it back down into that small step, and you find the biggest connection to God, and even just watching a bird. So part of small steps and big miracles is that, I could always refer back to my face being crushed, and I don't look like my face is crushed, and that was a miracle. But what that does, when you get localized into relying on big miracles, monumental miracles, you're missing out on the day-to-day. And then that self-reliance is gearing you to an expectation, and then you might miss God showing up in the small stuff, right? So I think it's important to begin to understand that don't beholden who God is and what's going on in your life. Remind yourself and be grateful of the things that you've gone through that are big. But I would challenge you to find 10 small things in the past year where you can witness and you can say, wow, whatever it is, God or Source, Yeshua, whatever you want to say, really showed up. That was something small, but so big because it just builds on itself, right? Because a house foundation is built one brick at a time, and rather than just looking at the foundation and saying, wow, that's a beautiful foundation. Imagine if you were the person that built each brick, you would know intimately, like, oh, there's the brick that your kid put their hand in on oh, there's the brick that broke and you had to kind of mend it because you were out of bricks, right? So you would know these intricate stories. And it's just like when you say a blessing when you're eating, if you were to thank, you'd not just be thankful for the food, but thankful for every process that the food went through to get to you. The planting, the rain, right? The reliability of the farmer to tend it, to bring it to harvest, the wheels, right? The wheels of the system that made it show up on your plate. A blessing is so much more, and there's so many more opportunities. And then what happens is that the brush of faith is so much bigger, and then you're not in these isolated spaces where a miracle only shows up every 10 years, because that miracle, that you're judging a miracle by this, walking on water, rather than the conversations that Yeshua had with Peter or Paul, or not Paul, but Peter or John or James. We're looking for Jesus to walk on water, but we're not looking at Jesus sitting down next to us and listening to us as we talk about our broken heart, or as we talk about, today was a rough day. And then what happens is we reference that into how we communicate. And then we tend to only talk about big things, and big things are only important. And then it minimizes the rest of our life. And then we jump from big thing to big thing. And then it becomes this whole social media setup, right? Where every video has to get views, where every video has to go viral, and everything has to be bigger than the last one. And we just don't appreciate the walk any longer. We don't appreciate the daily talk. And you don't get to know God. You don't get to know yourself. You don't get to know the world, because you're jumping from stop sign to stop sign, and you're missing what's all along the way, right? So I think it's time to exit the freeway, get off, and start walking. And as you're walking, learn to live and breathe and sleep with the people, not literally like sexually, but sleep amongst the people. Stop trying to achieve masterhood or this awakening, right? That's not the walk. That's not where these masters are. These masters are among you, right? These masters are within you. They're there. They're living with you. They're beside you. And because we were jumping, we were teleporting from the things that we told ourselves were miracles, and we missed so much. And then that's why time flies, because we're not sitting back in the moment. And this is where Eckhart Tolle is telling us some things that are actually cat chasing the tail. It's not about the power of now, right? It's the accumulation of everything all at once, and getting as much from that as you can every moment, right? It's everything all at once, right in this moment, as much as you can, but with the level of connection that's not minimizing anything. And if you find that you're minimizing a part of your life, like breathing, if you forget your breathing and your heart rate gets out of bounds, remind yourself, wait, no. Without this breath I just took in, I wouldn't be here. Right? And then you start communicating, and that's why I was reminding us about learning the language of the body. And then imagine if all of us learned the language of the body, how better our relationships would be, especially intimately, right, with others. Men out there that have performance issues, if you were to level in and learn the body language, maybe you would last a little longer than a few minutes. Because the conversation wouldn't be from big thing to big thing. It wouldn't be about the miracle when I was 21 and the miracle when I was 33. It'd be about everything in between, right? So you'd have a lot more, a whole lot more. And you'd feel, your cup would be so full. Right now, I think so many of us feel empty is because we're assuming we're in a state of assumption. We're running. We're mirror. We're running from the big tragedies to the big wins. We're running from, point A to point B, trying to get somewhere as fast as possible. Because we don't want to endure, like I can tell you when I first got this diagnosis and this problem, I didn't want to go through it. I was sad, I was angry, I was detached. I disappeared. I didn't want to go through it. It's not something I wanted to do. Because I know that it's daily, right? It's a daily fight. It's a daily feeling. And I was so much happier in my mind being outside of who I am, alienating the actual awakening for the the big show of awakening, right? The payoff, the glory hole, right? For anybody that they had those. I think maybe they still do. I don't know. But don't go to anything that says that. That's not a place to go. Don't go hang out there. It's not. It's not like Alice in Wonderland. So, but you don't. It's the climax. It was about getting to the climax, right? Getting to the crescendo. And when you got there, because you didn't enjoy anything along the way, right? The build-up. You didn't enjoy the build-up. You didn't know how to enjoy the build-up. And this is why movies, right? Like, this is why they started having bigger explosions and bigger superheroes and bigger things, because people needed more to distract themselves because they didn't want to do the daily walk. It's not even about doing daily work. You don't have to think of it as work at all. Just slow down. Sit here. See yourself. Don't see what you were. See what you are. And then deal from there. So many people are stuck in what they were. They see, and when they see themselves in the present moment, they see a decline or a degrade of, well, I used to be this, or they're fighting for youth, a lot of people, or they're fighting for attention, and they get sideways. They're not able to see the gift of just being able to look at themselves, being able to sit here, being able to breathe. That's such a gift, right? When life is no longer a gift, you have nothing to give. And life has been under attack. It doesn't matter what someone's opinion is about pro-choice or not. I don't care. Your choice is your thing. But if you can't recognize the spark of life starts when the inception starts, but you think that we crawled out of a cesspool as an amoeba and became a human, your thoughts are not only hypocritical, they're delusional. You can't have it both ways. So you're in a state of delusion. You're trying to believe something that you're completely non-responsive to. You can't. So your body is in a state of disparity. Your body is in conflict with your mind, and you're not learning to listen to your body. And I think that a lot of people dealing with some of these issues with gender, they're trying to have a conversation with their body, but they're getting outside information that might be steering them wrong because they're going from one big thing to the next. They're not saying, well, maybe this is just a silent conversation. Maybe this is more subtle than, jumping ship, being and becoming a boy. Maybe this is more subtle than that. Maybe it's not. Maybe I don't need that video that goes viral. Maybe that's not my answer. Maybe this is something more subtle. Maybe this is God talking to me through my body. Maybe this is my soul ironing some things out from previous incarnations. Maybe this is some trauma locked into my system, and it's trying to remind me that I need to deal with this. There's so many other avenues we should look at before we take these big, huge craziness, right? And granted, Mercury in Cazimi is about bold. It's about breaking out. It's about breakthroughs. It's about doing something bold. But I'd say the boldest thing you could do right now is to slow down and to find the greatest amount of impact and power in this minute moment. If you could, like a nuclear bomb, a nuclear BOM, right? So I don't want to say too much, but a nuclear fission, right? An atom breaking has the biggest amount of power that's released that we know of as of late into our scientific nature. So if an atom, something you can't see but in a super microscope, yields the biggest reaction, what would it do if you could break yourself down to slow down to the smallest breath. If an atom can level a town, what could tapping into your breath, to your body's language do for your spirit, for your success, for your well-being, for your ability to be present, for your ability to connect to your purpose, for your ability to be able to actually truly find an answer, to solve the issue that you aren't even aware of because you're skating, you're racing to find the finale, right? Trying to churn that butter as quick as possible to make the bread, right? But you're not enjoying the process. And see, and part of this, imagine if this is a prison planet and we were put here to learn a lesson. Well, if you're racing from point A to point B, you're not learning anything. You're just going to continue to burn out, coming back, never really actually getting to the layers necessary to know what the meaning of life is. And social media has been a huge force in that distraction, right? So just trust in the small steps, and they're going to lead you to big miracles. Come back to the small step-by-step process. And that's where we are, and that's what we have. And I appreciate everybody for supporting. Share this, and thank you for being here.
Inside of me, flowing wild, flowing free. A fire in my chest, a calm in my veins. The wind hums through me like a runaway train. She don't reach for answers out in the dark. I'm the storm, the light, the spark. When I breathe it in, the shift is real. Every heartbeat knows how to heal. No battles to fight, no bridges to burn, just the truth that's mine to learn. The river of healing flows through me, washes my doubt, sets me free. The source of life, my breath, my guide, spirit always on my side. I don't have to chase it down, it finds me steady and sound. Every tear has a story to tell. I've been through heaven, I've brushed up on hell, but I don't need signs in the midnight sky. The river knows where I lie. When I slow my breath, when I drop the weight, I see that healing don't come late. No need for proof, no ticking clock. The river carves its way through rock. The river of healing flows through me, washes my doubt, sets me free. The source of life, my breath, my guide, spirit always on my side. I don't have to chase it down,